Hi, 1403 students. I have heard that some of you are having trouble getting the bunny simulation to work at home. So I would like to try to show you how to do that here. I think you can see the bunny simulation on my computer. It's going to be way more fun if you can run this at home. So try to do that, but at least you have something to go with if I run it for you. So let's see, here we have the bunny simulator going here. We got two bunnies. I just introduced them. I'm going to tackle the simulation that asks you to run for the first question. So here we are, we're in this equatorial habitat. Over here you see the little equator with the sun. You're not in the Arctic where it's snowing. I press play and the bunnies start making babies. I hope they start making babies. That's usually what bunnies do. Oh, here they go. They're making babies. Awesome. So now there's going to be this freed mutation in the DNA. There's going to be some babies born with brown fur. So I'm clicking the brown fur mutation. One thing to notice is that brown fur is dominant. So over time, because it's dominant, it should become the more abundant one. Now I want the bunnies to not take over the world, so I'm going to bring in some wolves. Here's some predators. The wolves are eating some of the bunnies. One of the questions is, which bunnies are the wolves eating more of? Gosh, let's watch. There were a lot of white bunnies and now they're gone. Here come the wolves again. Check it out. Very interesting. Cool, I'll let this run for a minute. Now, if you look down here at this bottom part with the population, you can see the frequency of white versus brown bunnies. The white ones are the red lines and the black ones, and the brown ones are the black lines. You can see that there's getting to be less and less white bunnies over time, more and more brown bunnies with the wolves present. Okay, if I make the wolves go away, interesting to see what happens here. Oh, bunnies took over the world. Yeah, with no predators, like, man, bunnies will just take over the world. They have tons of babies. I think actually they'd probably run out of food before they took over the world. All right, so now let's play with the second question. So the second question asks you to go to the Arctic habitat. So I'm going to click on Arctic. I'm going to add the brown fur mutation. I'm going to add a friend because bunnies cannot make babies by themselves. And here we have them hopping around. Some of them are making babies. Some of the babies are brown. I'll let them build up a population before I bring in the wolves because I don't want the wolves to just eat them all and they all totally go extinct. But now I'm going to add the wolves. A different thing is happening here in the Arctic compared with the equator. You will notice that the wolves are eating different bunnies. Let's pause this for a minute. So one of the questions is looking at the pedigrees over here. So if you look at the pedigrees, you can click on a bunny and see its family tree. This is cool. It means this bunny did come, one of this bunny's parents was a brown bunny. And one of their grandparents was a brown bunny, and both of those got eaten. Let's click on a different bunny. This bunny came from a family that all had white bunnies. This bunny came from a family where there were several brown bunnies in the family. So this is kind of the same idea as, like, you might have blue eyes and you might come from a family where there's some people with blue eyes and some people with brown eyes. Not everyone in the family has the same traits, but if you have blue eyes, it means you got a blue-eyed gene from one of your parents and a blue-eyed gene from another parent, because having blue eyes is recessive. And the same kind of thing is going on with the bunnies. One thing to notice, though, is when a bunny is born, if a bunny is born with white fur, these are not bunnies that change fur color. These are bunnies that are either born with white fur or born with brown fur. It would be nice if this brown bunny over here could be like, man, it's snowy. I wish I could, like, blend in with the snow, but I was born with brown fur. Bunnies cannot just randomly decide to make their fur white any more than I can randomly decide to make my eyes brown. We don't have the ability to change these genetic things. All right, let's play this simulation a little longer. We can kind of keep watching this population change over time. You notice that every generation so far, there are still a few brown bunnies being born. That gene is still in the population. They just seem more likely to get eaten. Over time, it's possible that that gene will go away from the population because all of the ones that ever had that gene had been eaten. So we're starting to see generations with fewer and fewer of the brown genes. All right, let's pause it and start over. Now, the last few questions ask you to come up with some hypotheses and test them about these other characteristics. So let's just look, let's add a friend, let's add a long tail. So we have a mutation with a long tail, and let's see if that affects the outcomes at all. The long tail, now we're going to add the wolves. Do you think the long tail is going to affect how the wolves get the bunnies? So you can see like this dude, he's got a long tail, and this dude's got a short tail. We don't have any brown ones in the population. Man, the wolves are just like picking them off, right? Like all the white bunnies are toast, whether they have long tails or not. Like the fact that they're white bunnies and there's wolves, it's a bad scene. I wonder if they're going to go extinct. I think they are. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the long tails are really doing much for them. Let's add a long teeth. So this is another mutation that makes them have longer teeth. Like, see this little dude over here? He has longer teeth. And let's give them some food. So unfortunately, in the simulation, you can't have them have both food and wolves, which would obviously be the case in reality. Like in reality, you'd have predators and different food sources and different habitats, and there'd be lots of factors. But there is a possibility that having long teeth versus short teeth might help them eat this food differently. Let's see what happens with this. If we look at, let's see, the short teeth and the long teeth, it seems like all of them keep having short teeth. It doesn't seem like the long teeth are really helping them out much. It looks like they're going extinct. Maybe there's not enough food for them. All right, let's reset it all. And we'll add a friend. We'll let them play and have babies. Let's take them to the Arctic. And I think the base simulation, without adding the food as a selection factor, makes the assumption that they always have all the food they need. And then adding the food as a selection factor makes the assumption that like they need to get this particular kind of food. So now we have plenty of bunnies. Let's add the long teeth and add the food. Whoa, there's so many bunnies. Oh, look, the long teeth, this mutation with the long teeth seems to be getting more common. Here you can see it as the this pink line, and you can see some of these bunnies do have long teeth. The short teeth ones are this like sort of olive colored line. It looks like the short teeth, there's not as many of them now. Oh yeah, now here in this population, in this generation, now there's more long teeth than short teeth ones. So the long teeth are good. If we add the wolves here, I'm curious to see what happens. They don't seem to have much of an effect on this particular characteristic. Having long versus short teeth doesn't really affect whether wolves eat you or not, but it does affect how you respond to a food source. Now, if we add the brown fur and the long teeth, without the wolves, we will think that like the brown furred bunnies are going to do fine in the Arctic. Probably the brown furred bunnies with the long teeth particularly will do fine because the long teeth seem to help them with the food. If we get rid of the food situation and add some wolves, they're going to eat the brown bunnies, right? Because the brown bunnies are easier to find. Let's see. I think that's all I want to show you for this. If you can get it to download on your computer, you can play with some other hypotheses, but I think this will at least get you to what you need to be successful with the main questions on the quiz. Bye.